Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching this. Welcome to this masterclass on web development. My name is Otike Odoko, and with me here in this course is Kingsley Onyebuchi. It is now coming close to the end of 2020. Have you progressed in your current job? Do you feel stuck? Are you in search of a more fulfilling career path with guaranteed higher income? Then let me introduce you to the field of web development. Around the world, unemployment is high, yet skilled and talented people are in short supply. How can you equip yourself to succeed in the new global workplace? What challenges face companies trying to recruit the best employees? Society has shifted from an economy based on commodities and manual labor to an economy based on knowledge and highly qualified human capital. In other words, it means that society has shifted. You don't necessarily have to be looking to own shops with physical brick and mortar, stores and sell wares and all that. Okay? Employees need to be prepared to shift jobs and to be flexible in acquiring skills. Information and communication technology is pervasive in the workplace, and there is a high demand of ICT proficient employees as well as entrepreneurs. In this webinar, we want to focus on the career of a developer and help you figure out if this is right for you. We'll start by going over 1. A brief introduction of our organization, why you should choose the web developer career, what web development is, the different types of developers and what a developer does. Then we'll dig into what every web developer needs to know and dive into web technologies that you need to be successful. We'll look at tools for development, then we'll also look at options for getting web development training. Finally, if you decide to pursue a career of a developer, we'll be looking at tips for succeeding in a web development career. Now, being a web developer is a great career that is highly in demand, so if you are interested in learning what it takes, let's get started. So, like I said earlier, my name is Otike Odoko, and I'm the founder of Career Success, and with me here in this webinar is Kingsley Onyebuchi. Kingsley, please say hi.
Hello guys, hi.
Our mission is to help you achieve career success by getting quality information and training. You need to go from complete beginner to fully qualified professional. We also work with ambitious individuals to transform their careers by helping them close their skills gap. We offer training, mentorship, support in these key technology areas: data analytics, computer programming, project management, business analysis. You can find out more on www.careersuccessng.com. Now, why is the career of a web developer important? The digital age and the role of a web developer. As you can see in this slide, society has progressed from the agricultural age to the industrial age to the information age, and now it has also transitioned into the concept age. So it's not just about you being a knowledge worker anymore or being employed to type stuff at your desk. It's more about what can you create, what solutions can you create that will be of benefit to the society that you're working in. Now, this is the information age, and it is driven by web developers. And he said now we're experiencing a transition from the information to the concept age, like I said in the previous slide. Across industries, the web developer skill is relevant. You learn to review the business process of the organizations and design solutions that improves the processes in those organizations. Okay, so many of the top companies that we know, Facebook, Twitter, and a whole lot of these companies, they were all built and founded by people who had the skills of web development. Now, information technology is central to effectiveness in all sectors. Okay, web development is a subset of information technology, and as you can see here, you can see emerging players that have come across, that have sprung up in the Nigerian technology scene and have developed solutions. Some of these solutions you are familiar with: Jumia, our transportation sector; Paystack around payments; Kobo 365, you have companies like LifeBank, you have Bolt, you have Uber, Flutterwave, Buy Power for electricity, Budget for government, etc. So you can see that it is interwoven into the very fabric of our society. Also, you see, I know a lot of us are familiar with these charts like Meetlio that UBA has, and then Diamond Bank at the time introduced ADA. And so what you have here is a chatbot that continuously tries to engage the customer and provides some kind of first level service. Okay, and I can tell you that the very people who power this, okay, are web developers, or what you know as programmers. Now, recently we had the information of a foreign organization acquiring a Nigerian startup known as Paystack in the tone of $200 million. And what is their solution all about? If you listen to the interview of the founder, he said, look, I just found a way to connect my card to the internet, and that's how the whole idea started. Basically, he found a way to connect his card to the web, and basically that's what web developers do. Okay, they find a way to create real life transactions and make sure that these transactions and processes can happen online. Now, isn't it funny that you see, like we saw in the previous slide, that from writing what looks like gibberish on the left side of the screen and then having it render like something you see in the middle, and then to the right it turns into dollars. So whether you want to work in an organization as a paid web developer, or you are one who wants to become an entrepreneur, this career can be very, very profitable indeed. Now, why become a web developer? There are 5 cardinal points in addition to all the others that we've spoken about earlier. And the very first reason why you should choose the web developer career is that it is flexible. As a web developer, you can work from anywhere, including home. Okay, I think that's really the most important thing. These days, web developers are not required to be in a confined physical space. Okay, with the advent of technology and the internet, a lot of these things that you need for your work, alright, can be gotten online. Okay, and so this makes it one of the most flexible careers you can choose. And in addition to that, the skill set you acquire will allow you to work in different areas. Okay, that's an additional benefit. You can work as an image editor, you can work as a UX UI user interface and user experience designer, you can work as a mobile developer, and many more. Okay, so flexibility is a key reason why you should choose the career. Then the second is that it's a lucrative career. Front-end web development pays well. Okay, not just front-end web development, both front-end and back-end and full-stack development pays well. Okay, so you can earn from 150,000 to 300,000 naira in Nigeria and more in developed nations. Okay, you can also get a job anywhere outside of Nigeria. You can even be working remotely. You can get a job in the UK. Depends on how skilled you are. The third is that career autonomy. Online presence has become a main factor in all sectors. So whether you choose to work for corporations, non-profits, or become a self-employed freelancer, you can create a successful career. Okay, this skill is so much in demand, and I'm going to be enumerating why it is in demand. Okay, in the next slides. Then the fourth is web developers are in demand in shrinking labor market. With increased demand for automation in organizations, a career in web development provides job security, as it's guaranteed to be relevant for the foreseeable future. Now, why is web development a career that is very relevant? As we can see in our previous slides, okay, like in this slide, you can see here this circle: healthcare, e-commerce, food, government, logistics, banking, and finance, and all that. Now there is an app for almost everything. You go online, you want to shop, you go to Jumia, for example, you can place orders, and then before you know, it arrives in some you can even choose that they arrive same day delivery or next day delivery and all that. All these things are powered by the skill set of web developers. Now, whether you are working as a banker and you're looking to transition and say the opportunities for bankers are becoming slimmer, okay, you can, as a web developer, when you acquire this knowledge, you are able to build solutions that even in the banks they can use, okay, whether it's for retail banking, or if you're a HR person, whether it's you want to do payroll or whatever it is, you can develop technologies as long as you understand the business process. In business processes, there are always gaps, okay, and so you as a developer, you understand how these processes are, and you are seeing bottlenecks in different areas. You're able to automate these processes by developing an application that will be able to meet the demands of the organization. Okay, so this career is very, 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 very lucrative, and you can work across board in many different areas. Okay, so the fifth point is that it has a short learning time. Okay, you can learn web development in a short period of time. Now, in this slide here, you can also see things on. So we can see things around. You see people stranded in a stadium trying to get jobs. I don't know how many of us in Nigeria remember this. I think this was the immigration time where thousands and thousands of people were. There was even a stampede. Okay, now you can acquire skills that you can begin to earn money. Okay, without needing to go and have a stampede or have someone hit you or something while you are clamoring to get a job that may not even pay very well. So this is very, very, very important for you to note. Now, I want to also expand our mind. There are many of us who are big thinkers and not just necessarily thinking about acquiring skills to become an employee or something. Now, there's been a transition globally, okay, and this transition in terms of transfer of wealth, there's been a transfer of wealth from companies that are naturally like oil and gas and other kinds of companies, with the exception of Microsoft. From 2008 to 2018, there's been that transition, okay, to companies that are more tech driven. And you can see here that in 2008 you had companies like PetroChina, Exxon, General Electric, China Mobile, ICBC, Gazprom, Microsoft, Royal Dutch Shell, Sinopec, AT&T, etc. Okay, and these were the top 10 with the highest market capitalizations all over the world. Okay, now you can see here that in 2018 you see that the at least 7 of the companies you have in the top 10, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tencent, Alibaba, all these companies are companies that are powered by technology. Okay, and this technology is mainly what makes this mainly possible is the power of the web. Okay, what we know as the internet today. Okay, so it's very important. So if you have this big perspective and you're thinking, look, how can I launch a company that will have global recognition and creates a company that has global impact, then technology is what you should be thinking about. And we see that this is possible because in the previous slide we saw, one of the previous slides we saw that a Nigerian company was acquired for $200 million. So now we're going to be looking at what is web development. Okay, so this is where we're going to be looking at some of the technicalities of web development. With me here earlier, like I mentioned, this call is in this chat is Kingsley Onyebuchi. Kingsley Onyebuchi has been a developer with over 10 years experience, I believe. So he has knowledge on a lot of these things around web development, and he's going to be sharing with us in detail what web development is all about. So please let's pay attention as he runs us through the process.
Okay, welcome to this section. What is web development? Web development is the process of building websites and applications for the internet or for a private network known as an intranet. Web development can range from a simple static page of plain text to complex web-based internet applications, which could be electronic and social network services. So in a nutshell, web development, it's just an act or a way or a process of building applications that run over the internet. So these are usually web-based. So when we say web-based, it therefore means that they run on browsers. So what are the types of web development? Now, if you look at the screen, you will see three types of web development. We have the front end, we have the back end, and the full stack. So for the front end web development, or a front end web developer, it's someone who focuses on what's in front of a user. So this has to do with the UI, the user experience, and things like that. And the next is the back-end developer or back-end web development. So a back-end developer is somebody who focuses on what happens behind the scenes, or something called a server. So you can imagine, for instance, if you go online and you fill out a form, and when you're done filling the form, you click, or you press the submit button. Now you just keep wondering that what happens, where does it go to? So it actually goes to a server, and these things happen behind the scene. You actually don't see what's happening, but it's somebody who handles everything going on behind the scene, and that is the back-end developer, or what we call the back-end web development. And the third is the what we call full stack. So full stack, or a full stack developer, focuses on what's both in front and behind the scene. So this comprises of the front end and the back end development. So you can actually transit from being a front end developer down to a back end, and eventually you can become a full stack developer who handles both processes. So still on the types of web development, now you need to have a T-shaped strategy for learning. Developers tend to learn a wide variety of skills, but specialize in a few that they enjoy. Now, it's also smart to specialize in what makes you more marketable. So it's not just about learning. So you want to learn something that will make you more marketable, and at the end of it, you want these things that you have learned, or these skills that you've acquired, to be able to, to take care of your bill. And that's why it's important to keep learning, because what's marketable changes constantly. This is not a great job for someone who likes things to stay the same way they are. So if you are somebody who just like seeing things the way who likes seeing things the way they are, this might not be the best career for you, because web development changes over time. But if you enjoy an atmosphere of continuous learning, then you will really enjoy the challenge of being a developer. A lot of development is problem solving. So as a developer, it's expected that all you are going to be doing is what? Problem solving. You identify a problem and you look for a solution to that problem. So if you are not the type of person that enjoys solving problems, then this career will be tough in spite of the financial benefits. However, if you enjoy programming and problem solving, this can be a meaningful and profitable career. Now, so let's look at HTML as the foundation of web development. Now, looking at this, at what we have on the screen, we have this structure here that looks like a house, and we have some strange, write-up. Okay, let me use the word write-up. Okay, so this is HTML. So HTML is the foundation of every web development. Now, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, if you look at what we have on the screen, you will see, okay, we have this H1 here, and by this side of it, we have something like a slash H1. So these things are tags. So HTML uses what we call tag, and in between the tag, we have various content. So everything you see here, for instance, this H1, and in between the H1 and this very H1, we have my main title, is what gives rise to what we have here, my main title. Now, if you look at this my main title and the subtitle, you notice that their font size are different. That's because in HTML, these things all have their meaning. So so most times in HTML, when you start up something, you want to close it up. For instance, when you start up or open a tag, what we have here is a tag. When you open a tag, you somehow want to close it, okay, at the end of that tag, and that's why we have a / here that says, okay, that finds okay, this tag is being closed at this point. So look back to this building. You notice that this is just a basic structure or a foundational level of a building with no styles and what have you. So this is the sole duty of HTML. So it gives you the foundation of every web applications. Okay, so as a developer, that is one of the things you would want to learn, in your development career. So the next thing is the CSS. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Now going back, if you look at what we have here, now this is just a building with no style, with no beauty or whatever, no color, no painting. But in the other, okay, looking at it here, you now notice that this same building at this point, or structure at this point rather, now have different colors. Okay, so this is what CSS brings for us. So CSS has to do with the styling, with the formatting, with the layout of your web applications. So like I said, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, so I want you to take note of the word style. So it has to do with the styling of your application. Now if you look at the code we have here, you notice that we have this H1 and this H2, okay, and just after the H2 we have this curly braces with a color property of red that is set to red. Now looking at what we have on the display here, you notice that this tag, if we go back to my main title, which is this H1, you notice that at this point it has been given a color of red. So this is what CSS, one of the things that CSS actually does. So the way it works is that you have to select every element in your HTML. Okay, so this is an element, the H1, the H2 that we have here, they are all elements. So CSS looks for a way of selecting each of these elements and then applying various styles or properties to them. So okay, still on CSS. Now here in this code, you notice that this div is one of the elements, okay, in HTML. Okay, so now in HTML you have a lot of elements. You have the div, you have the paragraph tag, you have the anchor tag, you have the HTML, a lot of them. So we have so many elements. So what CSS does is to go look for each of the elements, okay, and depending on element you can apply various styles or properties to them. So this is a div, and a div is like a content. Okay, so another element that is being styled here is the H2 element. So there are a lot of elements, okay, that you just get from the HTML and then apply various CSS styling to it. So if you see any beautiful website out there, you just know that CSS is at work. JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is a programming language, okay, that makes your web application or your website interactive. For instance, you see that on the screen when the mouse pointer hovers on this box that says click me, you notice how the color changes from one color to the other. So this is what JavaScript does. Okay, so JavaScript is actually a programming language for the web, okay, that makes your web applications more interactive and more dynamic. And the way it works is this: you notice that now usually we add the script tag, okay, we add the script tag, okay, indicating that, okay, that we are including JavaScript in our program or in our web applications. Now let's look at server technologies. Okay, you know, when we looked at the various types of web development, we talked about the front end, we talked about the back end, and we also talked about the full stack web development. Now, server technologies, okay, have to do with the back end aspect of the web development process. Okay, so there are a lot of things, couple of programs or languages involved. Okay, when it comes to server technologies, we have the MySQL, we have the Oracle, we have PHP, a lot of them. Even presently, we can now use JavaScript, okay, to build server, programs like APIs and things like that. So backend languages. Now talking about backend languages, these are languages that are used to program or to code your backend web development processes. Okay, and there are a lot of them. Like we saw here, you can use things like PHP to code your backend. You can use the .NET. You can use the C++. You can use Python. You can also use JavaScript. Okay, using a runtime environment called the Node.js. So these are some of the back-end languages. Okay, we have the Python, the CSS, the Python, the C++, we have PHP, we have Oracle for database management, we have Ruby on Rails, SQL, and Node.js, a lot of them. So okay, now backend languages. So still on the backend languages. So the most famous of this is WordPress. So which started out as a blogging platform but has grown to let you build full website infrastructures. New web developers need to study at least one structured database language, and also one SQL. So we say NoSQL, okay, language, and at least one language for merging that with templates. Now this is one place where your choices can affect where you work. I suggest starting with PHP and then explore some of the other options like the Node.js, the .NET, or Ruby on Rails. Also, WordPress is so popular that it powers about 30% of the web. So you should at least know how to set it up. Now, entire businesses are built around the WordPress stack. It pays to be flexible when you are starting out, but once you make some decisions, it will pay even more to develop deep knowledge in one environment. Developers too. Now, every developer has one or two tools that he uses. Okay, so as a developer, you have to also make use of one or two tools. There are a lot of tools out there. So developers use a number of tools to get their work done, and the light server of development tools is your code editor. Okay, so code editor is just simply an environment, okay, where you write your code. Let's take the Microsoft Word for instance. Okay, so if you want to produce a Word document, what do you use? You make use of the Word, the Microsoft Word application. So but we have special tools, okay, dedicated for the purpose of programming or coding. So in recent years, Visual Studio Code has become the most popular tool for coding web projects, but there are tons of other options. Now, some popular options include Adam from GitHub, as well as Sublime Text code editors are sometimes called IDEs. So you can also call the code editors, okay, an IDEs or integrated development environment, depending on which you prefer. There are a lot of them there. Now, often these terms can be used interchangeably, but the primary difference between a standard code editor and an IDE is that IDEs tend to be more structured, so that things are done in a specific way with lots of shortcuts that help you program faster, as well as hints for developing and structuring your code. Frameworks and libraries. Now, talking about frameworks, Frameworks and libraries help you build projects quicker by letting you write code in a language that adds superpower to the way you build projects. But one thing you need to understand is that for every framework, every framework, or in fact, every framework is built on a particular programming language. Now we have some frameworks on the screen like the Vue.js, the React, the Ember, the Backbone, the JS and Angular. All these are JavaScript framework. Okay, so we also have some frameworks that are built on Python, C++, and etc. So these frameworks actually make your development processes very, very easy. Okay, but like we said when we started off, okay, one of the first languages to learn in your web development career is HTML. So if you're going to be using any of this framework, okay, to make your development process easier, so you have to learn the language on which these things are built on. So if you're going to be using the Vue.js or the React or any of these things listed here, so you have to have a very good understanding of JavaScript and how it works. Okay, you can't just move to learning a framework or a library without understanding the core principles that governs the programming language on which this framework is built upon. So at this point, I'm going to be handing you back to Otuke. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. That was quite a job you did there, walking us through the web development process and all the things that you need to know as a web developer. Okay, so these are preliminary concepts that we felt that you should be introduced to at this time, and for you to be grounded in these concepts, you require to have an education. Now, education can make a big difference in your career. There are 4 parts most people take to become web developers. Number 1 is either they go for instructor-led training, self-study, working on projects, and learning that only happens as a result of working with real clients. So instructor-led means learning from an instructor who follows the curriculum with exercises, lesson plans, and other tools. Okay, now this type of learning typically happens at a school or in a boot camp or in a workshop or a conference. This approach works great for someone with less experience who wants to be able to ask questions and work with others. Now, almost 70% of all developers describe themselves as self-taught. Now, I want to re-emphasize that. It says 70% of all developers describe themselves as self-taught. So, in other words, this is the primary means of learning for most developers. So, in a way, no amount of instructor-led training is going to teach you everything you need to be successful. In this industry, software changes so rapidly that it's not as important to learn specific skills, but rather learn the basics and then adjust quickly to new technologies. Now, we mentioned these four primary modes of learning, but now I think it's best we condense them to 3. So we have the traditional education, universities, colleges, and all that, the coding boot camps, and then online learning. Now, what are some of the points under the traditional education? Now, it's instructor-led, so you have one-on-one interaction with your teachers, and then they're going through examples in a class and something. And one of the benefits also of traditional education is that you receive business education also. In some of these places, they teach you introduction to management and a couple of that, while you're also learning about web development. And so you have a firm and wide education. But the downside of this is also it takes a lot of time. It can take you, for most people who get a BSc, it takes 4 years. If you're going to some sort of colleges, if it's shorter, maybe 2 years, and it costs a whole lot of money. Now, an alternative to traditional education is coding boot camps. Okay, this is also highly practical, but at times they require you to at least stay 2 months, okay, in a boot camp where you go through all this learning. In Nigeria, for example, we have boot camps like Decagon, Axon Soft, Moat Academy, and a couple of these other academies. Right now, these academies, when they enroll you into their organizations, is not without commitment. Okay, there's a time where you are asked, to pay X amount of money, so you have to do a commitment. Like for Decagon, you have to do a commitment. Is it 3 or so million. And then for you to even enroll in some of these organizations, whether you want to take traditional education, it may cost you not less than 1.5 or something million. So you know that's a long way to start. Okay, that's something that will require a lot. So the barrier to doing all these things are real. And then the third and final option is online learning. So if you are a self-starter, in fact this career is about being a self-starter, because if you notice the Nokias that were being used 20 years ago, and so they're no longer involved. Technology changes at a fast pace. Okay, so the kind of websites that people built or apps that people built 20 years ago are no longer relevant now. You need to continually evolve, and that is why the web development career is a career for the self-starter. And online learning, the advantage of it also is that you can learn anytime and anywhere, and the cost of acquiring knowledge is low. Okay, and then you have access to an abundance of knowledge, but the only thing is that it requires self-discipline for you to be to acquire good knowledge online. Now, what are some general tips for succeeding in a developer career? He had mentioned some earlier. Now, you must live, eat, and breathe code. You must get experience at a big company most times for you to succeed. So I advise that even though you are trying to do that, you can also volunteer for companies to learn how how you can manage business processes or design around business processes. Work on your own projects. Join online communities. You must have a GitHub account, so you look at things like that. Work on your soft skills, value your reputation. Don't sit on your hands. If you sit on your hands, the software world will pass you by regardless of your age. Now, what are the next steps? Now, it's important that this course, I know a lot of you have taken time, and thank you very much for coming to this point, for being patient enough to wait up until this time. Okay, it's important that you take a thorough tutorial on this, so that will get you from a beginner to a somewhat intermediate stage. Okay, now for 5,000 naira only, a discounted fee. When we're looking at this initially for some other courses, you see, you want to take some of these courses, a really top-notch practical one, it can cost you not in the range of like 20,000 naira if you're looking at it for Nigerians and all that. So, but with 5,000 naira only, you will learn how to build your first project by writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. Okay, so the case study we're going to be looking at is we're going to be building a website for a restaurant. Okay, and the lesson is going to be taken from scratch, teaching you all the concepts step by step. Okay, so I believe that this is something, if you have come this far, it is something that you should enroll in. Okay, and we want to also guarantee, if you take this course and then you feel that you've not gotten value for your money, then by all means we are open to doing a full refund for the money that you're going to spend registering. So for 5,000 naira only, you're going to be acquiring the needed knowledge that will make you to become a top-notch web developer. Okay, now people may look at it and say 5,000 is a lot to ask of me, but trust me, with the education and the value they are gaining for 5,000 naira, it is something that can launch your career and create something. It only depends on your imagination and your ability to work. Okay, your willingness to work. Alright, you can create something like a company that the first case study we looked at of 200 million, a company that started from very small to $200 million. Okay, so and that's where we want to see at the top. Now, so you can follow me. You can follow us on Facebook at Career Success NG. Like our page and send them a message, and then you can also send us a message on this number on WhatsApp. We'll be looking to hear from you. Thank you, and talk to you soon.